So I need to do another PSA today, and it's something to caution you against doing, even though I know it's going to be tempting, and some of you might think that this is going to be a way that you can kind of speed your way into getting placements through your production music library partners. I'm going to caution you it's not. The approach that I've heard from a few of my students and friends in this industry over the years, and including me, it's a mistake that I made early in my career, which I never made again, and I'm going to hopefully steer you guys away from making it, is to try to take on the responsibility of marketing our music to the TV and film clients of a library. So usually what we do is we're just cranking out music. We're asking the library, hey, what do you want? They say, yeah, we need some pop rock. Can you put some pop rock together? We put pop rock together. We give it to them. They put together the album. They title the album. They put artwork together. They kind of handle all the marketing, and then they pitch it to their clients, right? Well, one suggestion, one idea that a lot of my, not a lot, but a few of my students have kind of come up on with their own, thinking that this is going to be the way to maybe go directly from having their music, from their studio into a TV show or a movie, is to handle a lot of that marketing themselves. So they take on the responsibility. The producer, the composer takes on the responsibility of, I'll get the album artwork, I'll come up with the concept, I'll come up with the title, and I'll basically have an entire project album with the marketing packaging built in, and I'll hand it off to my library. And sometimes libraries even tell these composers, 2 thumbs up, sounds great. We'll even pay you upfront considerations fees. So you're thinking as a composer producer, great, like I'm gonna handle the marketing. I'm gonna basically kind of take a little bit of their workload off of their shoulders. I'll handle that because it's gonna be in my interest to have a really strong concept and artwork and music. And then I'll just hand it off to the library, and literally all they have to do is click publish. Like they're just going to take all these files, this artwork, and just literally put it on their website. And so it just speeds up the entire process, right? I understand the logic of it. Here's the big problem. Here's the mistake I made. I'll tell you guys the story in a second. But the problem with that approach is that a library owner can give you 2 thumbs up and even pay you upfront consideration fees for doing that, even if there's no immediate need for that music. So you got to think about a library owner is not always just thinking about what he needs right now. He's sometimes also thinking about what could be useful for me, in a year, 2 years, a couple of years down the road. If there's one particular style of music or something that he thinks, yeah, you know what, that actually could be useful at some point, because I think we'll have some clients that'll need that music. They could say yes to that today, pay you money for it, take it, say thank you so much, you did a great job, and then that album will literally just sit there on their digital catalog on their shelf, maybe for years, never get placements. So remember that a library's owner's interests and yours are obviously interlapped in many ways, because you guys are both going to be sharing in the back end royalties, right? But there's also a part of a library owner's interests that are not aligned with yours, in that they have thousands of tracks, and some of the music that they have in their catalog is getting placed right now. Some of it is just not really relevant, but they want to have it because in a year or two, if that music does become relevant, they want to be able to say yes to their clients. You don't have that same interest. You shouldn't be putting music into a catalog thinking, yeah, I'm glad that this will be useful at some point in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. I'm glad that my library thinks it potentially could be useful. That's really valuable. It is, I don't want to say it's not, but what's actually obviously more valuable for you is a placement today. So rather than, and this is the mistake that I made, when I was a couple of years into this business, I put together a trip hop album. If you're not familiar with trip hop, go look up the artist or the band, Massive Attack. Bands like that. So it was just a style of music that I just suddenly got exposed to, and I thought, this is cool. Maybe I could do a sync licensing album, right? Big mistake. Just because I thought it was a cool style of music and I was a fan of it does not mean that's necessarily great for TV and film. And sure enough, after all these years, that album might have earned me a couple $100 if I'm being very generous. I know, and I put this album out in 2010, 2011 or something like that. So not an earner for me. Not, I probably made more with my upfront consideration fees from that first library than I ever did with royalties or back-end payments from that album. Now, that library owner, I'm not faulting him, but he gave me 2 thumbs up. He paid me for it. He said, yeah, sounds great. Go for it. If it's something you're into, yeah, we could probably use something like that. And sure enough, the marketplace said very loud and clearly, no, we don't need anything like that. So I learned that lesson, and I said, I will not be doing that again, where I just sort of come up with a concept, or I just kind of go into my own little direction because I'm a fan of this music, or I think it's really, really cool. I now, these days, and this is what I'm going to give you guys in terms of my point of view on this, is no music should be created until you've had a very close and honest conversation with your library owner about what are your clients looking for right now. And only your library owner knows that. We can watch TV and watch streaming services and kind of, I think in general, these styles are doing well, but what is your library getting right now? It might be orchestral hip hop. It might be minimal tension. It might be funky, upbeat funk music. It might be singer-songwriter acoustic. You have no idea, right? So it's better to never guess, never assume, and never definitely just go off on your own and come up with concepts and artwork and all the marketing for an album without first having a direct conversation with your library owner, because that's the only person who knows what's being downloaded out of their catalog, what's being requested, what the briefs are asking for, right? They've got relationships with supervisors, with editors, ad agencies, trailer houses, executive producers, anybody that's looking for music. They've got front row seats to what these people want. So just imagine yourself having this conversation with your library, and you'll say, I'm really excited. I'm really pumped up. I want to create some more music, but I don't want music to sit on your shelf for 2 years, 5 years, till it gets placements. What is going on now? What's in demand right now? And what can my music do? How can I potentially fit into that with my skill set, with what I can do? Obviously, if it's a style of music that you just have no interest or you really don't feel that you could provide for, just be honest about that. Maybe give it a shot if you'd like to, but maybe there's a way that you can fit into the current demands of their clients while providing your particular genre of focus and your specialty, if that makes sense. That is the key conversation that must happen before you make any music. I've heard of these stories recently of sync licensed producers that are taking on a lot of these responsibilities of traditionally what would have been the production music library's job of artwork and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's actually a way to push your success further into the future. I don't think it's a way to get closer. I think it's a mistaken approach and a strategy. So learn from my mistake, learn from the mistakes of many others, and don't do anything until you've had a conversation. Now, you're probably thinking, well, I don't even have a library partner. How do I find out what these libraries are really looking for? Just their websites? Their websites sometimes show these older placements. I don't really know what's going on right now. Glad you asked. That's why I created the service called Sync Connect. Okay, so if you guys haven't heard of that, we every single month jump on a Zoom call with another new library CEO, an owner of a production music library catalog. Sometimes we do more than one per month, but at least you guys will always get access to one production music library CEO. And guess what we ask them on this 1 hour Zoom call, usually on Saturdays? We ask them, one of the first questions is, hey, what are you working on? What do you need? What kind of music is flying off the shelf right now? What kind of music do you definitely not need? What music are you kind of set with? You got plenty of it, or nobody's really asking for it? Those are like the first two questions we ask the library CEOs on these Zoom calls. And of course, all of our members get to ask their own personal questions at the end of the session. So if they want to know a specific request about the kind of music that they make, could this library owner use that? You get to have front row seats to these library CEOs through Sync Connect. And that's the main reason why I put it together, is because getting direct human-to-human communication going with the people that could potentially become your advocates is the only way. If you want to speed up your process for success, like you want to get to royalties faster, you want to get to placements, you want to get to being relevant with your music as soon as possible, I don't think there's any other way other than directly talking to the people that will become your partner in this business by shopping your music to their TV and film clients. You can make assumptions. You can think, oh, I'm into this music. I think that'll be great. That's all fun, but it's not going to be getting you closer to understanding the truth of what a particular library is going to be really, really needing right now, and definitely taking with both hands and grabbing you as soon as possible. So if you guys want to learn more about Sync Connect, I will link it down below in the description box and the top comment. But aside from all that, if you are working with a library right now, today, drop what you're doing. If you're working on something and you haven't really fully had this honest conversation of like saying, listen, I want to make sure that what I'm making for you is relevant today, not in a year, not in 2 years, not in 5 years, not even like a potential maybe at some point, but I need to know what is going on with your clients right now. Of course, being very polite about it, not demanding, but saying, I would like to make sure that what I'm creating for you is super relevant and in a timely manner. Can you please let me know what is going on with your clients right now? What is in high demand? What's being downloaded? What's being requested? Is there anything that you feel with my strengths I can contribute to those efforts so that I can get these placements as soon as possible? Because that's also in the library's interest, right? If you get placements, they're getting placements, right? You guys are usually going to split your royalties on the back end, publishing and writer share. So everybody wins if we get placements much faster. But more importantly, I obviously side with your guys' interests because I'm also primarily a composer, producer myself. I'm not a library owner. I've never been a library owner, even though they are our partners and I highly value them. This is where our interests can somewhat misalign just a little bit, because a library owner cares about their long-term, getting placements now, but also knowing that they need to have some music in a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road for a potential, just in case. That's not your interest. Yes, you do want to have placements in the future, but clock is ticking on our lives and on our careers. We need to get placements this year, right now, and get our careers started. So quick PSA, hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any further comments, questions, concerns about this topic, leave them below. And check out Sync Connect. I know you guys are going to love that service.